Hey, 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 you beautiful twin flames, and welcome back to Tarot for You 444. I'm so delighted that you could be here with me today because what I want to talk about today is something really important for the twin flame journey. And before I begin, I want to start with some deep belly breathing in case you haven't learned how to do this before with me. Okay, so if you're new, welcome. Wow, throat chakra starting up because many of you are having a difficult time on the twin flame journey. Many of you are having a difficult time with people, places, and situations around you. All right, so let's now clear the energy before we start this video. And well, we started the video, haven't we? You know what I mean, though. Okay, before we start the topic. All right, so we're going to imagine that the breath is coming from in between our legs up into our heart, and then we're going to push the air out. Okay, so we're going to go in for 5. It's going to be a quick 5, and then out for 5. So let's do it together now. Are you ready? Get comfortable. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, so we're going to take a deep breath in and out 5 times. In, out, in, big, let it go, in, out, one more, out. All right, so you should be feeling a little bit lighter, but now we're going to do it with the intention of letting go of any people, places, or situations that haven't been serving you lately. All right, so as we breathe in, we're going to breathe in that heavenly kind of wonderful angelic breath of air, knowing that it's really pure and wonderful. So it's kind of a bit of a spiritual metaphor. And then we're going to breathe out what no longer serves us. Okay, so you ready to go again? We're going to do it 5 times. Okay, so think of anything that's been annoying you lately or any stuck energy. Okay, we're going to get rid of that now. Okay, so in we go. Ready? In, out, in, out. Ooh, in, out. Feel it going? In, out, in, out. Now, if you feel guided to pause the video at this point and keep going, you can time yourself for 5 minutes and get rid of any stuck energy inside of you. Okay. Some people might call it the chi or the flow of energy within one's soul or in one's self. And this is what we're trying to maintain. We're trying to achieve a maintenance of spiritual flow in and around ourself. Okay. Because you are a sovereign being. You are created in purity, and the world in which we live is not as pure as our souls when we came here. All right, so if you feel guided to do that, pause the video and then you can come back and listen to what I have to say now. You can also pause the video, get yourself some water or tea or whatever you want. Maybe a snack or something. Because today I've got a really important topic that I want to bring up to you as a twin flame concept. Okay? So whether you're a divine masculine or a divine feminine, it doesn't really matter, because this topic is going to probably resonate with you anyway. Alright, so many twin flames have had either difficult pasts, difficult upbringings, or some kind of difficulty within their lives. Usually it's a past thing but for some of you, it might be occurring now. And I want to bring this topic up because I think it's important for coming into union with the self. And, you know, the reason I created my Ascension package and my manifesting course is so that you can learn to come into union with yourself first and foremost, and then begin to manifest the desires or the creations that you want. So whether you realize this or not, you are constantly creating your own world. You are constantly creating and making decisions all of the time with relation to you. Many people believe, you know, I'm going to draw a picture just so you can laugh. Or am I? Hang on. I have to get a pen. Just hang on a sec. Okay. So, many people believe that they are standing in a world where all of these things around them are kind of happening to them. You know, like my mum always yells at me, or my boyfriend always ignores me, or, you know, my job sucks because my boss is an idiot, or something like that, right? So it's this idea that there's all this energy coming towards a person, and that, you know, you're kind of helpless. You know, it's kind of what I would call the fate cycle, you know, where people believe that everything that happens is happening to them, that they have no ability to change that. And, you know, from a very young age, I actually believed this to be true. You know, I believed that where I lived was going to be a thing for the rest of my life. I believed that, you know, my circumstances were going to be that because, you know, that's what I was born into, you know, those kind of belief systems. I was also brought up religious, and so my world was inundated with those types of things, those types of belief systems. You know, the kind where you might say, you know, if you sin, then this is going to happen to you. You know what I mean? Those types of belief systems. And for many of you, you will have different ones. You know, you might have been brought up, I don't know, let's say an Italian's brought up in an Italian background, and they believe that, you know, it's the normal thing to go to a family night every Sunday, or it's the normal thing to eat certain types of food, or it's normal to, I don't know, pray on Sunday, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter whether the belief system's religious or not, or spiritual or not. It might be that someone grows up in the USA and that, you know, if they didn't play sport, their father would think that they're a failure. You know, it could be a whole number of different things. And so this is what I would call the belief cycle. Okay, the belief cycle where all of these ideas and perceptions come to us from our parents, from our teachers, from our friends, from, you know, whoever it is we're hanging around with. Okay, so not only do we have the fate cycle going on where we have this belief that everything's happening to us, we also have this belief cycle that, you know, I don't know, if we don't pray on Sunday or go to Sunday school, you know, we're sinners, or if we don't eat that certain food on that holiday, then we're not, you know, American, or, you know, Guatemalan, or whatever the culture is. You know what I mean? So there's this fate cycle and belief cycle that comes to us from a very young age. Okay, And as we get older and become adults, we take a lot of this stuff on board, and it can change who we may have become if we didn't have all of those aspects sort of hitting us, if you know what I mean. Okay, all of those belief systems that were pushed onto us when we were younger. Now, for twin flames who had a rough upbringing, or perhaps parents who were mean or cruel or not very loving, all right, not only do we have the fate cycle as a child, and growing up we think everything's happening to us, because it kind of is, isn't it? As a kid you don't really have much choice. We also have that belief cycle, you know, if little Johnny doesn't go and play sport, his dad's not happy with him, or his mum's not happy with him, or, you know, you've got to fold your clothes a certain way, or you've got to, I don't know, clean the house every Saturday or something like that. You know, we've got all these beliefs that come. Now, if you were abused in any kind of way, either physically, mentally, or sexually as a child, or even in your teens, we then also have this trauma cycle. Okay, now the trauma cycle is really difficult because it usually happens at a younger age. Not always, but it can happen at a younger age. And of course, between the ages of 0 and 5, this is when we're really learning and picking things up, and our subconscious is taking that little screenshot all of the time of what's going on. So we have this belief system coming in from all other areas around us, and we also have this, if there's trauma or been any kind of trauma or abuse, the little waves of whether it's been anger or violence or sexual abuse or any kind of abuse, the subconscious has been taking screenshots. Okay, and this may also cause in later life conditions like PTSD, depression, anxiety, sadness, isolation, or loneliness within a person. Okay, so I've written them here: PTSD, depression, anxiety, sadness, isolation, loneliness. And then if as an adult this continues, you know, this is when behaviors can occur, like, you know, excessive drinking, use of drugs, perhaps, behaviors that may, you know, land someone in jail even, you know, like stealing or theft or those kind of things. Even violence might happen. So there's a lot of different things that can happen to a person here with the fate cycle, you know, believing that everything is kind of happening to you, and from a, you know, from a young age it is kind of happening to you because you really have no say. Then there's the belief system cycle. Whoever you hang around with, even as an adult, are gonna have beliefs, are gonna, you know, probably have judgment about what you believe, and that's why you've probably got a circle of friends who you know and trust and love, as opposed to people who you don't want to hang around because they don't have the same kind of beliefs as you. And then, like I said, if we've had any trauma in our life, this can cause PTSD, depression, anxiety, sadness, isolation, loneliness, and or illness. Okay, now illness is a manifestation of, sometimes it isn't all physical, sometimes it can be an emotional thing that occurs because of, you know, all of this stuff that I've mentioned. Alright, so then what we can be left with is this feeling of emptiness. Alright, whether any so even if you haven't had the trauma cycle happen to you, congratulations if you haven't had that happen to you, because for those who have been through some kind of trauma, it can be really difficult to even function as an adult if you've had any kind of trauma. But we've all had this belief cycle, and most of us kind of believe that, you know, there's a fate and things are happening to us, and that we don't really have much of a way of changing it. All right, so this is the basis of where I want to go now with this. Okay, so no matter what you've had happen to you in your younger days, or you might still be young, but no matter what's happened to you, all of these things have made up who you are right now. Okay, so you will have a certain belief system, perhaps. You will also have a general way of being. You know, are you generally happy? Are you generally sad? Are you generally pissed off? Are you generally in a negative mindset or a positive mindset, right? Do you comfort eat? Do you take drugs? Do you use alcohol as a means to soothe any kind of fear or pain? Are you living in fear? Are you living in pain? Are you going about your day-to-day life in that fate cycle where you think everything's happening to you? Or are you realizing that you are a powerful manifester, even on your twin flame journey? Okay. Wow. Some of you are angry. Some of you are angry that the things that have happened to you in the past. Some of you feel as though you've been cheated by those around you. Perhaps there's not been much love. Perhaps there's not been much support, okay, with family or friends. So now we've been through all of this, I invite you, if you want to grab a piece of paper and write down all of the things that you think you are, you know. So I'll give you an example. I'll do one for me. Alright, so, you know, grab a piece of paper and write down what you think you are. So for me, I think I'm fairly happy. Most of the time I'm kind, unless I'm hungry or tired. I try and be loving, I try and be helpful, and in some cases when I'm in a silly mood, I can be very annoying. Okay, so they can be good and bad traits of you. The perception of yourself, if you write that down, it kind of helps to take a little look at yourself. And of course, if you choose to do my Ascension course, we dive really deep into all of this stuff. Okay, so what you think you are and what others see in you can be completely different things. So like I just said, I think I'm generally happy, kind, loving, helpful, sometimes annoying, right? Which is my perception of me. But you might be watching me and thinking, well, she seems kind, she seems happy, but maybe she's too pushy with her agendas, or maybe she's too I don't know, maybe she needs a new hairstyle, or, you know, there could be some judgments coming from you towards me, let's say, just as an example. I'm not saying there are, because all of my viewers love me, right? Oh, there it is, my ego. My ego. Big ego sometimes. Right? So what can happen is your perception of you within inside of yourself can be completely different with how others perceive you. And a really great example of this is of, let's say, a woman who decides to, I don't know, go out with her friends. She hasn't been out for a really long time, and they're going to the beach, and she's really, really, quite religious, or quite, I don't know, she doesn't really show herself off, you know what I mean? She doesn't generally wear clothes that would show her body off, because she's kind of shy and she's not really about that. She just doesn't do that. But her friends have decided that for her birthday, let's say, they're going to take her out to the beach and dress her up in their clothes, a little mini skirt, a little crop top, put her hair up, put makeup on. She doesn't normally wear makeup. And so when they get to the beach, there might be some other people there that know them from school, or did know them from school, and they might call her an SLUT, right? I don't really want to say it out loud, but you know what I mean. They might call her a name denoting that she's portraying herself in a way that she normally wouldn't portray herself. And in fact, women in general do get judged a lot by what they wear, or what they are perceived to look like. And of course, the look of someone is not what they're all about anyway, right? The look of someone is just the facade. It's not really the soul or anything else. It's literally just the physical body. And so where I'm getting to here is that I want you to understand that you have a perception of you, but when you go out into the world, and of course there's lots of different types of people in the world, right? There's nice people, there's bad people, there's unkind people, there's kind people, there's decent people, there's loving people, there's unloving people. There's lots of different people in the world, lots of different energy in the world. I want you to realize that their perception of you may not be what your perception of you is. So how does this all relate to the twin flame journey? Because it doesn't sound very twin flamey, does it? But it kind of is, because how you perceive yourself is the most important thing. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, what you see in me is a reflection of you. Have you ever heard that saying? I don't know. I guess to make this easier, if we talk about Alice in Wonderland, okay. My drawings. My drawings are stick figures, literally, and she doesn't have a nose, but that's okay. We'll forgive her today. Remember Alice in Wonderland, okay, and how she goes down the rabbit hole and she sees a whole new world, okay? She literally does, doesn't she? She sees, the Mad Hatter and the party and the Queen and the rabbit that says, I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye, I'm late, right? She kind of goes, wow, this is really freaking me out. Okay, and it's, I'm not really sure, but I think the story is actually meant to be that Alice has a figment of her imagination that kind of brings her into this illusionary world. And that her imagination kind of creates all of this stuff. So we also, as twin flames, have an imagination. And with regard to your twin flame journey, many of you in separation, right? You kind of know when you meet your twin flame that there's this magic, it's kind of like being Alice in Wonderland, right? Because you've never felt this way. You've never seen life this way. You've never experienced such polarity or mirroring or synchronicity. You know, there are cases of synchronicity, and I'm going to make a new video about this soon, but there are cases of synchronicities where, you know, twin flames can be thinking about one another at the same time and literally text at the exact same time, or call at the exact same time, or, you know, do a Skype call or something like that and be wearing the same color, or you know, the eye color of a twin flame can change to the color of the shirt that the other twin flame is wearing, and things like this. You know, really amazing, miraculous kind of Alice in Wonderland stuff. So what sometimes happens is that twin flames come together and they talk and they spend time together, and it feels like, you know, you're in this Alice in Wonderland kind of land, you know, world where, you know, it's like the whole world seems like a different color. You know, it's like the feeling that comes up inside of you is, you know, you kind of ask yourself, you know, am I in a wonderland? You know, am I in this kind of amazing world of, not fairy tale, but it's just otherworldly, right? Let's just say like that. And so what happens here is usually the divine feminine has this kind of little forgetfulness of who she really is. So, you know, let's say some of the things that she has this perception about before is that she was a little bit mean, or a little bit annoying, or perhaps she, you know, uses drugs or something like that, right? Let's just say her perception of herself are all of these things here, and there can be good ones too. You know, maybe she's loving, maybe she helps her family a lot, maybe she's, you know, always the, I don't know, always the wonderful auntie or something like that. But then when she goes into this other world with her twin flame, and let me just draw the twin flame, right? Really bad drawings, but it doesn't matter. Okay, take gender how it resonates, right? So as she comes into this with her twin flame, it's kind of like she sort of forgets who she is, right? And she sort of goes, oh my God, I've never felt this way. Oh my God, you know, right? You might even liken it to the Wizard of Oz, you know. She's kind of skipping. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, you know, like she's all really dazzling and happy because she's on the yellow brick road. She's on the journey. She's found him, and he's there, and he's talking to her, and he's making her feel like she's never felt before. And then what happens is the separation occurs. Now, the separation may not be years or months or a really long time. It might just be that, okay, he's going to work. I don't know, let's say he works in the trucking industry and he's going to be away for a week. And so she can't see him. All right. So there's a separation there. Even though they're together, you know, there's still a separation, a physical separation, because he's off to work or she's off to work or whatever the circumstances may be. And then what happens is she comes out of this bubble. I'm going to call it a bubble. She comes out of this bubble and remembers that, OMG, I'm still in the third dimension reality. I'm still perhaps using drugs, or I'm still a little bit mean to my auntie, or I'm still annoying, or I'm still anxious, or I'm still, let's say she thinks she's fat. I'm still fat. I haven't got my shit together. And so the separation can be really harsh. It can be like a butter knife kind of going, smashing through the cake, right? And then the separation of the cake, like she's separated from her twin flame, as a metaphor, right? So he might be off to work, doing his thing, thinking about her, thinking how wonderful she is, thinking how amazing she is, and take gender and DMDF to flip how it works for you. And then when they come back together, it doesn't feel the same, because she might even go, I can't be with you, or he might even go, depending on which twin flame's doing what, right? But I can't be with you because I've got an addiction. I can't be with you because I'm too fat. I can't be with you because I don't have enough money. I can't be with you because... and on and on and on the list can go. So there is this point here of realization, right, between the worlds. I'm going to call them different worlds, because it really is like being in different worlds, right? Here's this bubble love. Everything's great. You look into one another's eyes. You say how wonderful you are. Everything just seems to fit together in this perfect way. And at this line here, especially during the separation, there's realizations on both sides. The divine masculine might go, well, oh my God, I only work for a truck company. I'm never going to be able to give her the things she needs. So he might ghost her. Right? It can work on both sides. Because as they come together in this bliss, the third dimensional consciousness and the third dimensional reality disappears. It's like magic. It's like poof, the magic. It's in the separation that you realize, OMG, look at my life right now. I'm not where I want to be. I'm 20 pounds too heavy or too light. I haven't got the job of my dreams. I still don't know how to bake, right? The mind will take over and tell you how shit you are. I can't be in a relationship with anyone because, right? The mind will tell you how not good enough you are. Remember, coming back to this, I'm not meant to be loved. The fate cycle, I'm not meant to be loved. The belief cycle, oh, we couldn't possibly be together because, he has an Italian culture and I'm from Guatemala, and that'll never work. I'm too traumatized to be with anyone. I don't deserve love. I've got an illness here. I couldn't possibly, give my twin flame what they need because there's PTSD, let's say. And so all this bubble love, all this Alice in Wonderland, all this Wizard of Oz magical stuff that occurred sometimes can feel like it's gone, because the bliss state accelerates the understanding of the third dimensional consciousness and what needs to go from this mind space. Because if you've got a drug addiction, it's your mind that led you there. If you've got a thought that you're too fat or too thin or too ugly or not good enough in some kind of way, it's your mind. If you've got a belief system that you don't think meshes well with your twin flame, the block is in your mind. So the bliss state versus the ego or mind state here happens for twin flames. And it's why the divine masculine runs, or the divine feminine runs, or why they have the dark night of the soul, or why they have these breakdowns. Because when they first come together, they think, wow, this is a love like no other. I've never felt like this. Your whole body might even vibrate in some kind of way. You know what I mean. If you're a twin flame, you've never felt this beautiful state of bliss before. Then all of a sudden someone's leaving. Right? Because there's this disconnect in consciousness. The bliss state is fifth dimensional consciousness and above. I'm trying to write consciousness, but that's a hard word. Right? The bliss state is fifth dimensional consciousness and above. Let's say Jesus, whether you believe in him or not, he was said to be in eighth dimensional consciousness. Right? But when we come back down into ego here, we're in third dimensional consciousness. We're allowing the mind to tell us we're not good enough, or they're not good enough, or something's not good enough. The location's not right. They live in another country, or they eat tacos and I don't. We could never be together. We don't get along, Whatever it is, the mind will keep making stuff up. He's a swimmer and I hate the water, right? She's got really long hair. It's going to get stuck in the drain if we live together. I couldn't possibly cope with that, right? You see what the mind does? It's going to make up all this stuff of how you're not good enough, how they're not good enough, how you're not good enough, how it could never work. Oh, I've got children. They'll never accept my twin flame. She's got earrings that won't sit still. How could I possibly take her out to dinner with me, right? She speaks to toys on her YouTube channel. I couldn't possibly be with someone like that. She's crazy, right? She owns a swearing bell. Right? She has bad curtains. Right? Take gender how it resonates. Flip it around. You see what I mean? What story are you telling yourself? You might be telling yourself things like, he's never going to call. He's never going to text me. He loves someone else. Do you see what's going on? The belief cycle isn't coming from anyone else now. It's coming from you. It's your mind. And your mind, you are a three-part being, mind, body, and soul or spirit. Now, the physical aspect of you is merely that. We are just, meat in clothes, right? Aren't we? With a brain. Your brain was only ever designed for problem solving. But because of the media, because of our parents, because of our upbringings, because of the school system and many other systems, even the political systems, we have a belief about ourselves. I don't have enough money. How could I possibly be with them? I don't have a good enough education. They're not going to want me. Right? You see what happens? You see what happens? It's this constant cycle of belief that goes on from other people first and foremost when you're young, and then you build it up yourself. And so the fairy tale that you can have, the Alice in Wonderland story that you can have, or the Wizard of Oz, or whatever love story that you like, this is completely possible. And it was possible because when you met your twin flame, you felt every part of it within yourself. Go back to, even close your eyes and go back to when you met your twin flame. Do you remember how the bliss was? That's all you wanted, was to be loved unconditionally by someone, and it happened. And now you've spent all this time explaining to yourself in your mind why it can't happen. They'll never love me. I can never love them. We're from different cultures. We're from different backgrounds. He lives 20,000 miles away. My mum won't approve. My dad won't approve. My cousins don't like him. Right? Your soul is in this bubble. This is the bubble of your soul here. Everything else doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. If you're in love with your twin flame, nothing matters. Culture doesn't matter. Language doesn't matter. They might live across the street from you, and you're still not with them. Doesn't that sound crazy? For some twin flames, that's going to sound crazy, especially the ones who are on opposite sides of the globe. There are some twin flames who live in the same neighborhood, and they're not together. If you want to know how to be with your twin flame, I've got the tools that you need. I know all of the blocks. I've heard every excuse under the sun. I know many people don't feel good enough. They feel like they're not, they've had trauma, they've had depression, they've got an illness perhaps. They've got all of this stuff in the way. Or simply their twin flame just isn't coming in. But as you think and have this energy all the time, energetically, you push your twin away. Even if you decide to go, well, I'm just not going to speak to them, because I've heard that, in separation, if I just ignore him, he'll come back. That's not going to work either, because the mindset is still not right. The twin flame journey is a heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul, third-eye to third-eye connection. And the amount of stuff that people put in between it with their mindsets is ludicrous. It's literally keeping people in separation for years and years and years and years and decades even, until there's no more time left to even be with your twin. And it's why people become so frustrated with the journey. Okay, so if you want to know how to be with your twin, please let me know. Email me. You can do my courses. If you can't afford to do the whole course in one go, we can break it down into easy to pay installments so that you can do it. Because there's all of this stuff. Most of you are going to have the belief system that it's just fate and it's divine timing, and the divine will bring us together when the divine will bring us together, and all of this stuff. But there is a fast track way to union. You don't have to wait years. You don't have to wait months. You don't have to stay in these cycles where your twin flame and you are separated. It's just, there's no point to that. And if no one told you today, you deserve love, and you are doing the best you can possibly do with the circumstances that were given to you. But there's always a better choice. There's always a higher thought. There's always a way that you can push through and create your life. Create your twin flame journey for yourself. You don't have to sit in sadness and loneliness and waiting for years and years and years. Unless you want to, which wouldn't really make sense. But I want all of you who are on my channel to have the opportunity to come into union with yourself first and foremost, and then with your twin flame. And just a little caveat here, if you do my manifesting course and my ascension package, you will look at yourself in the mirror and you will realize a lot of things. And it's through these realizations here, remember we've got the realization here, that you have the aha moments and go, oh, okay, that's what I was doing. Preventing myself from union with my twin. Okay. What you see around you is all you. Just like when Alice went into Wonderland, it was her perception. Just as if someone wakes up in the morning, let's say they live in, I don't know, Bali, and they're in a motel room and they can see the beach and they pull the curtains, you might have one person go, it's raining today, what a shit day it's going to be, right? And someone else might open the curtains and go, oh wow, listen to the rain, isn't it glorious? I can't wait for the sun to shine through that rain as the sun rises. You know what I mean? It's all about perception. And the mind is going to pull you off the journey. I mean, you know, even if you're in separation, that's still part of the journey, but it's going to try and railroad everything for you. And I'm here to tell you that the mind is not who you are. You are your soul, and you have a body and a mind, but ultimately you are your soul. Okay, you are that spiritual being. And you know what I'm saying is true already. I'm just reminding you today. Alright, I've nearly gone for an hour, so I better say that I love you and I'm sending you rainbows, butterflies, unicorns, maybe the Mad Hatter too. Okay, if you need me, reach out to me. I have the tools that you need, and if you're desperately in need of someone to talk to, please reach out to me. It would be my pleasure to try and help you in some kind of way. Mwah. I love you all so much, and I hope you have a beautiful day, night, afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you are in the world. Donkey, Harry, Charlotte, and Cookie all say hi, and I'll see you real soon. Mwah. Bye. Bye.